Jen Stone.
David Henrie, here we are again.
Okay, so today we're Wizards of Waverly
aside,
potting which episode?
Season 1, Episode 12, Justin's Little Sister.
Justin's Little Sister.
I like it. So Season 1, Episode 12 originally aired March 9th, 2009. So this episode is about Alex getting annoyed that everyone is constantly comparing her to Justin. So she makes a wish with a genie that her family and teachers will stop comparing her to him. But instead, the genie, which we learn in the episode, cons her, because genies are con artists, apparently, causing everyone except Alex to forget who Justin is. Did you ever have somebody in your life that people compared you to all the time?
Con me? My brothers. I'm youngest of two brothers. Michael is the middle brother, just above me. And then my oldest brother, Peter. And they're in the business. Peter now is a director. And Michael, I guess, is kind of retired. Mm-hmm. Peter was on 21 Jump Street with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, drop it.
That's me dropping my wand.
Drop the wand.
And Michael was in Wayne's World and Encino Man. Yeah. And he played Dennis Fran's son on NYPD Blue. Mm-hmm. Both of them are amazing actors.
Gilmore Girls?
Gilmore Girls, that's right.
No, I watched Gilmore Girls for the first time after the show, and I remember texting you, being like, "You're on the show!" and being so excited. You're like, "Yeah, I did this years ago before Wizards."
Well, I was compared to my brothers. Back to your question, the comparison did happen. I guess there's some kind of competition that happens between siblings. It doesn't have to, but my dad poked us because he was like, in front of my two brothers, he would say to me, "David, you're the number one son." Or he would say to Michael, "Michael, you're the number one son.
He lied
Don't tell
to
your
you.
brothers." Well, he said it to all of us, you know. It's so interesting because, I mean, really, we're different ages, you know. So I think there was a little bit of a competition between me and my brothers as to kind of work-related stuff. And fuck, man, my brother Peter got 21 Jump Street when he was 21 years old.
Yeah, that's
got
hard
a series regular
on
a show. Yeah, it's hard to compete with. But I did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you did pretty good.
I mean, I was always so happy for my brothers, and I think like I said, there was this little competition that I feel
But did you find it playful competition, or did you find it like, God, I wish they would stop comparing me to my brothers?
I wasn't so much compared to my brothers as the who got a job kind of thing, but I was compared to my dad. So who was very funny and very famous. And but it was, you know, there's some good things to it. Like, I think I've said this, like you go into an audition room and they're like, "Okay, you're Dom DeLuise's son. Be funny."
Yeah.
And you're like, oh
it's so
shit.
much pressure.
Or you're me, I'm the producers. Yeah. Just say hello.
Hello.
He's just like his dad. Yeah, He's so funny.
Yeah.
You know.
My dad did that.
The sound guy just went like this. Ma.
Yeah. The sound guy is now deaf. Yeah. And anyone listening to this podcast is now deaf. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
My dad did that the first time he saw you on set of Wizards. He's like, he's just like his dad. I'm like, okay, but he's his own person. Like, you know.
Which is good to be compared to. So now I know you have a brother.
I do.
Are you guys, do you get compared to your brother? Does that happen?
Not
Who do you
really.
get compared with?
I mean, it's just me and my brother. And I know my brother, because I think it's normal, like you were saying with siblings, to kind of feel this sort of like, where are we in life? Who's ahead of who kind of thing. And I don't want to speak for my brother, but I know that I can imagine that was probably challenging sometimes to have me as a sister, because I mean, it was a weird situation to have like a sister.
You mean for your sister to be on television, a very popular television show.
And it's weird for him now, because a lot of times he'll be because he's a high school history teacher, so he'll have people go, "Oh, you're Jennifer Stone's brother." But what I love is when it gets turned on its head, and I have people comment on me on social media, and they go, "Oh, you're Christopher Stone's sister," that were in his class and his students. And that warms my heart and makes me so happy, because he's such a great history teacher and he's so good and passionate about what he does, that to be his sister, I think is so phenomenal. And I should be, because he's such a phenomenal teacher.
That's so sweet. I should have said something nice about my brothers too.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, I think that natural competition that you talked about of like who's like more successful or whatever in life is normal, especially with siblings, because it's such a close relationship.
Yeah.
But as far as us being compared, we're so different
Yeah.
that I think it would be hard to compare my brother and
Well,
I.
also you're different genders and different
Yeah.
professions.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, we're the same gender and in the same profession.
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
much easier to compare you guys.
But I
for
had a
sure.
similar thing happen to me because I was always, oh, you're Dom's son, you know? So at a certain point, my dad got, oh, you're David's dad?
Aw.
So that was,
But that had to have been special for your dad too.
yeah, of course.
And
It
on
was really
on a
nice.
smaller scale, like when I started, my brother was like what every Dallas agent wanted in Texas. He was the blonde, blue-eyed, cute kid. And I was just begging to be signed to an agent. So I'd take my little suitcase and they'd be like, no, honey, we're fine. When my brother would go.
Fuck those agents.
Well, I mean, I was like 6, but like whatever. But the thing is, so like I had the same thing where I was jealous of him because he was getting auditions and agents and what have you. But anyway, so we'll get into the episode. So it opens with.
Well, I just want to say Mr. Laritate is back, Bill
Yes!
Cott, which
Yes.
is so great. And now we're establishing this class.
Yeah, the first time we're seeing Mr. Larry Tate in a classroom with his buckaroos.
Right.
He opens a history class by announcing that there's going to be an oral pop quiz. But the funny thing is he's really giving the answers and all the questions.
I mean, it is very silly, you know.
Very silly. But when he gets
Like,
to
when
Alex,
was the War of 1812?
yeah, and then they're like, 1812, and he's like, yes, and he has this like cowbell which reminded me very much of Christopher Walken and SNL of like, I need more cowbell.
right,
Yeah. But I always
wonder-
think of that.
Maybe that's where. No, it's just cowbell because he loves cowboy
Yeah,
stuff.
because he's a Western man.
Yeah.
So of course he gets to Alex and he asks her this very complicated question that she's not going to know at all because she does not study.
Right.
So she gets it wrong. And he says, well, you know who would have gotten that right? Justin. And so her, frustration over being compared to Justin kicks off the episode. And then I think Harper tries to help, but ends up just comparing her to Justin again.
And I think in this episode is this. Selena like tries to explain something to you a few different times. That's a different episode, and I'm going to retract that. You ready? That's done.
Sounded like you were choking. I was like, do I need a Heimlich?
That's my rewind.
Jesus.
No, I don't. I was being silly there.
So,
Sorry, everybody.
In
But
this episode, though, this was one of the ones I was talking about where you can tell Harper's style is so not fleshed out yet. Because I think, what am I wearing in this? I'm wearing like pops of yellow with black and white polka dots and rainbow stripes.
so
it
it's
looks
like they're
someone,
trying out things.
Yeah,
is it?
it was like no. Later on, we got such a specific vision and focus of like what each outfit was. Like I'd have a corn outfit or I'd have a fruit outfit or whatever. But this was just like someone had dumped a bunch of patterns together and it looked very just haphazard. So yeah, first season Harper's a little confused. She's finding her way, which we often do when we're freshmen in high school, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, no, she's very much finding her way. And this is also, I think, one of the first times that we're really going hard. Not the first times, but we're bringing back the Harper liking Justin gag. Which
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It's interesting because it was there, and it was also very odd because you're
was a
like
little stalkerish the
Justin's
first
sister, your best friend. You keep being like, oh my God, he's so dreamy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's odd to say that. Like if someone said to you, oh my God, your brother is so hot, you'd be like, oh, I just threw up in my mouth, right?
Well, now I'd be like, good, yes. But it's odd. And it's very, and I also, there's a lot of moments that on the show, we just don't acknowledge. And Alex just doesn't acknowledge the fact that she's low-key stalking her brother. And especially in the first season.
I don't know if it's low key, but like super high key. You're like obsessed constantly with him.
It's not low key. That's true because she does make a full on bust of him later in this episode, which we'll get to. But that's very
That looks a lot like Uncle Ernesto,
yes,
who then became
Wilmer Valderrama.
Say
that 10 times fast.
Is it
Wilmer
Valderrama?
What did I say the first time?
No, you said it right. I say it wrong. I recently did a CSI, NCIS with him.
He's one of the other
NCIS.
acronyms.
There's
a lot of them.
It was great to see him again, and that was nice to do a job.
There was some. Oh God.
Sorry.
No, it is nice to work. There was some interesting stuff because I grew up auditioning with Demi. And
Lovato,
who was best friends with Selena, and like they did Barney together and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't realize that he started dating or met her around the time he did Wizards.
He did a lot of young dating stuff, which I don't approve of, especially because I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, when a younger person in the relationship is above a certain age, the age difference is not big.
Yeah.
Because like Bill Murray now is dating someone who's 40 years younger than him, but she's 40. You know what I mean? Or whatever. I'm doing the, rounding numbers. But that's different from dating someone when you're 30 and they're 18.
Yeah, because I remember, because she just wrote a song called 29. And I don't know if you've heard it.
Is it about him?
She hasn't confirmed or denied that it's about him, but she talks about how she got to this moment where she thought about how she was the age that he was when he met her, and how she would never look at someone that age that she was in that way.
Got it.
And how it gave her perspective.
Okay, so I'm going to get the answer right now. Demi, is that song about Wilmer? Question mark.
Oh my God. Well, she hasn't answered. She's been very loose about how she's answered it, which is fair because it's no one's business but hers.
Wait a minute, Jen Stone.
What?
If you write a song that's very personal to you, I mean, like Jagged Little Pill was about the Dave guy from Full House. You know that, right?
It was Dave Coulier?
Yes, 100%. It was about him. But if you write that song and you've dated him and there's like history there, are we not allowed to ask or find that out?
You can ask, but I think it's up to the person whether they want to say exactly or not. To me, the song's pretty damn clear who it's about. Like, she's vague in her answers about it, but it's her right to whether she wants to confirm or deny.
Yeah.
And she's vague in how she answers it. But when you listen to the song, which it's a phenomenal song, it is so just, as somebody who I've dated older for other reasons, but when I was younger, I dated guys that were older, and thinking as a young girl, you think it's like, oh, it's because I'm so mature and together and all this kind of stuff. And then you get older and you realize, oh, no, it's because I'm naive and I'll put up with shit that I wouldn't when I was older, and I'm easier to manipulate. And like, there's a lot of other more nefarious reasons why an older guy will date a girl who's freshly 18.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with I'm trying not to be hypocritical, because when I was on Wizards, I was dating someone who was 24, and I think I was
but
more
she wasn't
than 10
freshly 18. There's a big difference.
18 and 24 are very different. But still, I mean, I look at a 24-year-old now and I'm like, that person
like my
is
ex right now is my age, and he just dated a girl who just graduated from college.
High school?
Well, that would be one thing, but she just graduated from college. And I think about how different I was when I first graduated from college versus where I am mentally now. And I think ultimately, it says a lot about where the person is with their emotional maturity.
Yeah, sure.
And just their maturity overall by dating somebody who's younger.
And also, like you said, per your creative output, your song, it's nobody else's business. So if you're a legal age and you want to date someone who's older, then that's your right as a human being.
Can
correct?
I ask you a personal question?
Yes, Jen Stone.
Because you did date someone who was in their 20s when you were in your, like, maybe about 10 years older at the time.
Yeah, she was closer to my oldest daughter's age than to me. Yeah, so that was a little.
My question is,
peculiar.
Did you feel like, because you also just got out of like a really rough divorce,
and it was I had divorced 4 years prior to dating.
But
her name is Faye. That's who it was.
But my question is because like I said, I always take it as when someone dates younger when they're older, is, like I said, it talks to like emotional maturity or where you are emotionally at that point. Did you feel like you just needed some emotional levity at that time?
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I think there was some stuff that I needed to work out. I mean, when I first met her, I was like, oh my God, I'm falling in love with you. You're amazing. And hopefully the same thing was happening. And then over time, listen, every relationship that I've had
has a purpose.
I've learned something.
Yeah, of course.
And
so
and also,
I think that's true of any relationship.
Doesn't matter if you're, an older person or not. You can still act, silly or not truthful or not responsible or that kind of thing. You can miss each other on that level, But getting into it, I think I was, I don't know, it was 4 years out of the marriage, and I wanted to be in a relationship. And I think that was something. Now, listen, I've dated a lot of, out there people.
Yeah, you've dated older,
my wife now.
younger,
Yeah, and my wife now, Yulia, is very grounded. She's younger than me. And I think I've matured a little bit. So maybe even though I'm actually older than her, I'm a little more at her level. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying though, because one of the things I love about you is you're like a big kid in a lot of ways. And I think that's one of the best things about you, and you've really worked hard to like grow in yourself and mature in a lot of ways emotionally over the years. You're welcome. And just in yourself as a human being. And so I think finding Yulia, you've kind of met somebody in the middle of those places. And when I say that when people date younger, I'm talking about dating someone who's freshly out of college, freshly out of high school.
Right, no, I get it.
Because I agree with you. I think at a certain point it levels out.
Yeah.
Where age is kind of irrelevant. But when it becomes something where you're like, okay, but there's life things that don't sync up, that's where I start to question like emotional maturity. But
and also similar like interests and stuff. And I think a big thing as to why Yulia and I get along so well.
Yeah.
I think I'm turning red because I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, no.
Wait. Hold on. Yulia, stand by.
Zach Baggins?
No, stop it. No. One of the reasons we get along so well. Oh, I know. I remember. I've been very generous in giving in my relationships. And I'm not trying to kudos to me, but I didn't get that much back.
Yeah.
So
I relate to that.
And also, covering my side of the street of that, I didn't accept it. I didn't want it. I wanted to just take care of everything. Yeah. And now Yulia takes care of me, and I take care of her.
It's mutual.
I'm not getting emotional. I'm not going to cry. Here I am.
But that's a beautiful thing.
It's just nice to have someone, genuinely, not to say that other relationships weren't genuine, but that she is there for me unconditionally.
Yeah. It's the goal, I think, for most relationships. And one aspect is to have a give and take.
Yeah.
And I totally relate to giving and giving and giving and just having someone take and want more. And then you're left with whatever they've taken. And you're like, my gas tank is empty. I have nothing left to give. And they're like, okay, cool, thanks, bye. And
it's like the giving tree.
It's like the giving tree. Yeah. It's exactly like the giving tree.
Okay, so this is a rewatch podcast.
Yes.
Listen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get. We always do
guys,
that where we rewatch the podcast and then we get
folks,
super deep.
Wait a minute. Are you allowed to say guys, folks? What do you say? Fans, people.
Homo sapiens.
Homo sapiens out there. Some people love when we only talk about the episode, and some people love when we do a little tangent.
That's where we do a little bit of both.
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. Okay, so
let's get back
if I may,
in for the rewatch
scene
people.
2, we're doing learning about genies. And I just have to say, who the fuck drew the genie on the chalkboard in the classroom? Because it's a good drawing.
Okay.
But, I mean, I didn't do it.
We had, and I'm going to kick myself.
But I meant in the show, not in real life.
Oh, in the real
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I was like, that's a really good drawing of a genie.
We're going to say it's Jerry. We're going to say it's Jerry who did it. Because they were like a PA that did all of them. Because there was one I have actually at home. I have one of the it's like a pop art version of Harper.
Oh.
And she drew all of them.
You got to put that on the Patreon. I want to see that.
My mom has to take a picture of it because it's in her weird Texas, all of my posters.
Text her. Tell her to do it. Okay, so this learning about and getting into the genie world of wishes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, and she was really kind of the actress was big with what you know what I mean. She definitely did a big.
She did the Disney pixie stick acting for sure.
And it was silly and it worked. I thought it worked. It was funny. But if you had one wish, what would it be?
I know. This is such a hard question.
That was me asleep, everybody.
I know, that's a really good question. If I had one wish.
Okay, do you want me to tell you my wish?
Yes, please.
I would wish for 1,000 more wishes.
I feel, okay.
Is that cheating?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but the fucking genie's trying to cheat you.
Hey, that's true.
Cheat the genie.
Con out the con. For me, I would try to find contentment in every day.
Okay.
You know, but now I'm trying to figure out how the genie would do that. You know what this reminds me of? Did you ever see the movie Bedazzled?
Yeah, of course, with Brendan Fraser and
Elizabeth Hurley.
Beautiful, yes.
So
that's her name in my head is beautiful.
Beautiful, which she is. This is like both of them in their prime, right? And so the whole movie is about like him making a deal with the devil,
right?
And she gives him like 6, 7 wishes or whatever. And she cons him out of every single one of them, and it's the exact same thing. Where like she cons him out of every wish. It's really funny.
I do like that. And do you remember this part of the episode? Take me in to see the genie and make us tiny weeny. What was it?
I have it here. We are now small and teeny weeny. Take us inside to see the genie.
We are now small, teeny weeny. Take us inside to see the genie.
Okay, but this was another one of the moments where David was like, I'm not getting a laugh here. How can I get the laugh? So I'm going to say it goofy.
And I love when we pop in to the lamp, I fall down. I fall down. They don't fall, but I fall.
Was that an accident?
I don't know. I was like, we're popping in, and that's me trying to make it funny.
They just stood there. Okay, so after complaining to Teresa about being compared to Justin at school, they have their wizard training, which we've already talked about. They get into the lamp, and so the genie nearly tricks Alex into setting her free.
Right.
But then Jerry stops her just in time after you jump in.
Right, of course.
And then Justin transports them back out. And Candace Brown is who plays the genie and plays her so lovely with the great hair and the outfit.
Candace, you did a great job.
Yes, very I Dreamed of Genie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And she does her thing is she does the Macarena.
Macarena.
To do the thing.
Which I love that they have the little joke. They stole that from us.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was so nice. Okay. The basil latte then and now sounds disgusting to me.
Is that what she says? And say it again.
The basil
Oh,
latte.
basil. Yeah.
It sounds
barf.
It sounds so gross.
Yeah, it's not a.
It sounds so gross.
Yeah, it's weird.
I tried looking it up. I was like, is this a thing?
Is it a real thing or no?
I saw some like recipes of it that you can make it, but it sounds disgusting.
Yeah,
I remember thinking that then, and then. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. So the next day, Alex sneaks into the class early with the lamp. She releases the genie and wastes no time in making her first wish, going, I wish people could stop comparing me to Justin, which is where the episode's issues ensue.
Something goes awry. And I do like
Waverly
that when she does the first wish, it's like the Family Feud. It comes down, it's like, one wish is gone. And she then allows the genie, which asks people not to compare her to Justin anymore. And ultimately what the genie does is makes everybody forget Justin.
That he ever existed.
But Alex remembers him.
That's
a little bit of
it's a little weird.
Right?
But that and also the fact that she's like, cool, that's all I needed. Goodbye. Like, that was weird to me.
I agree it was weird, but it just seemed to serve the purpose of not having her be there anymore so that we could have the problem of, how do we solve this? Because you have the genie around, you rub the lamp again, and she solves it.
But I can just, I guess that makes sense.
And you get what I'm saying, that it was helpful for the story to just have Alex go, okay, you can go wherever you want.
Yeah,
now,
it was like exposition to like just be like, whatever.
Right.
Because I thought it was so not Alex that she wouldn't keep her around for 2 more wishes to use for something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Alex to me was so like if she has an opportunity, she's going to take it. So 2 more wishes seems like a huge opportunity that she just was like, okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
Unless other than the fact that Alex was always doing the unexpected. So that part fit.
I wrote down Alex still remembers. That doesn't make sense to me, because the actual thing that she says, I don't want anyone to compare me to him anymore, So it's interesting. There's another, listen, it's selective spelling is what I call it. You know what I mean? I'm going to put a spell on you and it means this.
But it doesn't mean that over there.
Right.
It's the dandruff. It's dandruff. Okay, whatever.
Right.
Like
it's snowing, but no, it's dandruff.
It's the selective disbelief.
I have to say
was
that
all over this show.
The periodic table song thing, I thought was,
it's
helium, beryllium, whatever. You know what I mean? I thought that was really fun.
Yeah. It's one of those things when David leaned into Justin's geekiness,
which was funny.
Which every time he would just lean into it and embrace it, it was so funny. And I loved when he would actually embrace it, because when he embraced it, it was comedy gold. It was so funny. I still have so in my head, just like Amanda Tepe saying, you know, the fleur de fleur, the fleur de fleur.
Yeah, the hotel fleur de fleur.
Him going boron. I so have just in my head.
Yeah. And we have a lot of Harper loving Justin again.
A lot.
There's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 spots in this episode were, you know, I love him. I love him. I love
Who's
him.
the new guy?
Yeah.
He's so hot.
Yeah.
My favorite stuff to do. I was happier. I'll be honest. I was happier later on in the show when we started to get away from that gag, because also too, we beat it to death in the first season. We did a lot. And then it kind of
just dissipated, and then you and Dan Benson started like having a thing,
but I
right?
think that's, that part didn't bother me so much. I know we had a lot of Curb Your Dragon dog moments where like everything went with the dog.
Yeah.
But that part didn't bother me so much, because to me that was like a lot of crushes that you have in high school. Just like a lot of my on-set crushes were there one week and then gone with the guest star.
Yes, I understand, but it's
like that they fizzle out, and then you move on to the next one, you know, when you're in high school. So that one didn't bother me so much. And plus I was ready for that gag to go away.
Yes, but I'm not sure that they knew exactly what was going to happen, because they couldn't get you guys fully together. It would ruin your relationship with your best friend. You know what I mean? It would ruin that dynamic.
Which I'm honestly surprised.
Or change it.
I'm surprised they didn't at least have one episode where they tried that, because that would have been an interesting episode to have Harper and Justin, even if it was like a spell where Justin was like whatever. But like, I'm surprised that they never had an episode where that was a point of contention with Harper and Alex.
Yeah.
Because that could have been something interesting, like an interesting storyline. But I guess it just didn't make sense with how they grew up.
Yeah.
You know, and when we were in the first season, it didn't make sense. Because there was like a bigger age difference and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, I always loved the chemistry between you and Dan.
Yeah,
that really worked out too. I wrote down this, oh my gosh, right? So on Disney, you couldn't say, oh my God,
no.
right? So, oh my gosh was in lieu of that.
Yes.
You know?
Just like kiss ups.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there were certain things that they just had to change the phrasing a little bit. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't allowed to do the peace symbol.
No, because in England it means fuck you.
Well, like that. Means,
yeah. So we could never, which was funny because in 2008, 2010, that was this, you did this and you did that.
Duck face with the thing. Yeah, of course.
In every picture. So that was something that we always had to be reminded to not do, because we did that all the time. Also to kind of circling back to when the genie first pops up in the classroom.
Itty bitty teeny weeny genie. Sorry.
No, but when the genie first pops up with Alex in the classroom.
In the classroom.
She has the snaking the drain bit.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was so funny.
And it looked like a real snake.
It was a real snake.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah, it was a real snake.
But I was like, you know, because sometimes when you hold a fake snake, you have to like move it yourself. Like, whoa.
Like the
you remember for sure that was a real snake?
It was a real snake. Yeah, because it's like the American Sniper thing where Bradley Cooper has to have the fake baby that he's making look like a real baby. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right?
The fake baby, yeah.
It was the worst. It was
I know exactly, and it takes you out of it.
It does take you out of it.
You know, but then also you don't want to maybe use. I've seen movies where you're like, oh shit, that baby just came out. You know, it's like real, and you can see.
It's like a super new baby.
And they also do make really good fake baby like dolls that kind of move around.
That one in American Sniper was
not so good.
Baby. No, but I
but a good movie.
Very good movie. But yeah, I'm like 90% sure that was a real snake. Because it moved very well, and Candace was talented, but I don't know if she was talented at her snake
when I saw
acting.
that, it was there. I mean, good jokes. They had good jokes.
We have the bit in the which comes in later, where Harper brings in this bust.
Right, that you have made of the new kid.
Of the new kid.
And Maria comes in and goes, oh, that looks like Uncle Ernesto. Mm-hmm. And what was the reason of you having that?
Because there was a lot of things Harper did that we just never talked
There's
about.
There's a lot
why.
of supplying the story with maybe not 100.
But I mean, that's Disney sitcoms for
which
you.
Is
you know what I mean?
And I would love to, because it looks like David, but I wonder, because a lot of times, you know, I don't know if you've done this, but when I did Grey's Anatomy, and they
You
had
do
to
the
do some
bust,
stuff.
yeah.
You put straws in your nose, and then they put like all this stuff around
Yeah.
you. They put all these things, and then you know it gets hard, and they go, "Are you okay in there?" And you're like, "What? Are you okay in there?" You know, you're breathing through your nose, and then you go, "Yeah, I'm okay." But then once it hardens, they crack it and pop it off,
Yeah.
and then they pour inside of the mold like some kind of. They can make a prosthetic out of that.
Can
you know?
I tell you? I
don't think
actually-
they did that with this bust thing, though. You know,
I feel like they did actually with David. I've had that done a couple times for a few different projects because I love working with prosthetics and I've worked with them a few times. One of them I actually have my bust from.
Oh, you kept it?
I kept it, and then another time I always fall asleep.
Oh, when you're in the thing.
Yeah,
but-
like I've talked to so many actors, they get really claustrophobic because your whole face and head
fuck,
is
I'm
covered.
claustrophobic. I know. I
and
had to
you're
like think of
stuck.
something
but
else.
that's the
you know?
normal reaction. I don't know I think it's the fact that it's warm and it's dark and all the sounds are muffled, so it's kind of like being in utero in a weird way. But every time I have it done, I fall asleep, and everyone's like, "Hey, Jen, you okay in there?" And I'm just like I pass out
That's
every
interesting.
time I do it. It's so
That's a
weird.
very
But yeah, I
interesting
find
reaction.
I don't know what that is. But yeah, I find it really calming, which it's not. It's a very understandable.
No, I have to prepare myself for that.
Yeah.
Like, because when I did Dad's Bugging Out, when I
Yeah,
turned
you
into a
had to do
cockroach,
that.
I had to sit in the chair for 2.5 hours
Yeah.
to do all that makeup and prosthetic stuff.
That's different because that's different because
You're
people
not
are
in the thing,
no,
right? I'm
because
saying-
because I've done with prosthetics. The other half of it is when you're actually having it applied. I've been in the chair for. I had Jim Carrey's makeup artist on one thing do like full body prosthetics, and then I had the one who did Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique do it for the other project that I did with full body prosthetics. And I don't love people touching. That's where I have to kind of mentally prepare myself because I don't love people touching me for 8 hours. That part I don't love. But that's where I like mentally prepare myself. But the prosthetics building where you do like the molds and casts
Yeah.
and stuff, that's where I get really calm, weirdly.
It's a lot.
But the one for him, I'll never forget them making me put on lipstick and kiss it. You can't really see it in the episode, but there's like lipstick marks on it
Right.
where
I
I've
mean,
made
it
out
looks,
with it.
It looks like he's got some blush on.
Yeah,
but when
no,
you said
it's my lipstick.
Yeah, but I couldn't quite see
It doesn't
that.
read really.
Yeah.
But I remember them having
But
me
they
put
had
on
you
like
kiss it?
They had me put on like bright pink
Dirty.
lipstick and then kiss this bust like all over.
Disney.
Well, it wasn't Disney doing it; it was production.
Well, I mean, ultimately,
Yeah.
it was Disney.
Yeah. And so just looking at that thing, I just remember kissing that, and it's so creepy. Like
Yeah.
it's such a creepy bust, and his eyes look weird.
And then this is
blah.
where Justin doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have a place to stay. Is his room? And my wife said to me, "Well, what happened to his room? Like, what's his room?" And I was
Well,
like, "Well, it could be a man cave. Could have been a sewing thing, or you know what I mean." But he gets to sleep over at Alex's house,
Mm-hmm.
the Russo's house, and you say you don't respect the code of dibs, which is so funny because it's a really interesting thing. Like if you're out with a
Yeah.
girlfriend
Yeah.
at a bar and you're like, "Oh, that's a cute guy," dibs. You know what I mean? Like, are you allowed? Did you call dibs?
No, I never did that because also too, I'm terrible. I'm awful at flirting. I have a lot of. I had a lot of crushes, but I'm a horrible flirt. I don't know how to handle it. My way of flirting is giving someone. I show affection by giving people shit. That's why I give you so much shit. And if I like
'Cause you
somebody,
love me.
because I love you.
Yeah.
But if I'm attracted to someone, that happens tenfold. So I just become basically a douchebag, and I'm like, yeah, like, and I just
Why
like.
do you think that is?
It's a defense mechanism probably.
Okay.
But I had this girlfriend that we used to be like, girl, you can't do that. Where she'd walk in a bar and be like, dibs, 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 dibs. Like she'd literally pick like the 10 cute dudes
That's
in
not
place
allowed.
and pick every single one of them and be like, and then a week later would be like, I called dibs on him. And we're like, girl, you shoot your shot. He says no, dibs go away.
Yeah.
Like you can't, dibs don't go past the fact of him going, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And they don't still happen.
It's like I want to say something, but I'm bros before hoes thing, or girls before butt heads, or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean?
Girls
But what would
before
you say?
butt heads?
But what would that be like? Girl code or something.
Well, but okay, but I mean, it's
You
basic
watch out.
decency of like of having your girls back before some guy, or vice versa. I've heard dicks before chicks as well. You know that one. But the thing is too. But it's also as well as like it's kind of an understood thing. I feel like where it's like you can call dibs on a guy. You shoot your shot. He's not into it. Okay, move on. That's life.
I agree.
But this girl she literally would, even if the guy like showed that he wasn't interested and then was interested in someone else in the friend group, she still would like be like, but I call dibs on him.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, you can't do that. He already passed.
Bullshit.
It is bullshit. Well, you know.
So now
she's an acquaintance more now.
We're at the Russo. Oh, by the way, I look adorable in pajamas.
You do. Okay, but this.
I have a full. Everybody had really great pajamas.
They did, but you know how Shannon said we always had to be in different colors. Like wardrobe always had to put us in different colors. Right. This one. All y'all were in kind of this green tone. You guys were all in a sort of a similar palette, which I was surprised by. Look back at it because I felt like you guys were all kind of in a similar palette.
I just love that we were all dressed so adorably. But then you have to be very careful when you say your wish and how you wish. And then Selena says
she wishes the genie would come back.
Oh, she does that,
which ends up being her second wish. So boom, that's gone. So now we're on the third and final wish.
Which is, I'm not exactly sure how
I wish everyone would see Justin clearly for who he is. Boom, invisible. Yeah. So now he's invisible, and no one can see him. And do
you remember how that happened? Him in the outfit? Was he in a green screen outfit? Was that all done after the fact?
I vaguely remember him being in one of those green screen suits.
Yeah.
And I vaguely remember that.
Little fucking creepy because Maria, his mom, is standing next to him and he's naked because he's taken off his clothes.
Yeah, he took off his clothes to be invisible.
But he has a pillow
over his
junk or whatever it is.
David Henrie.
And Maria's like, ooh, I feel a little uncomfortable being this close to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with her good pillow.
Yeah.
It was odd. It was odd.
It was right on the line of like, is this okay, not okay?
Yeah, and I was actually very surprised that Disney didn't say anything about that. Of all the things that they had issues with, like the meat concert and throwing meat, like I don't know why that one always comes to my mind. I think it was because it was so ridiculous that they had a problem with it. But also, the fact that they never said anything about that.
And he's not wearing underwear.
He's not wearing underwear.
When he takes off his pants, there's no underwear there.
Oh, that's true. Oh, God.
They didn't, being invisible, you know.
I know. It would have been such an interesting thing to use way more than just that one couch gag.
Right. And I go to sit down, and I did love how Selena was like, no, don't sit there.
Yeah.
And then when she the way she kind of just like was sitting but checking for him being there. I thought it was really interesting. It was really well done.
That one was a good gag. So then Alex, there was one turn that you did where you're trying to explain it to him because remember you think that Justin's her friend. You're like, so this may seem like magic. And Alex goes, no, he knows about magic. You go, okay, what'd she do to you?
Yeah.
I loved that turn. That turn was so good.
There was also in the episode prior to this, the motion potion.
Mm-hmm. Potion commotion.
Potion commotion.
Motion.
Motion bowel movement. So it was one of the first times that you there because we come back from China and Hawaii or something, and it was like the build of that catchphrase that I had.
And that's another thing too is like you see that kind of start to become a thing, but it's not quite there where it's not the you there, it's Alex. It's like slowly starts to build like, it slowly is starting to become there.
Exactly.
So,
and it's interesting too, because Selena is saying this stuff and Maria goes, I do believe you, but how could I forget a son? You know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of like a trying to believe her daughter, but also defensive at the same time in a way.
It's a little
and then there's that like emotional moment where she's like, but I don't want to lose my brother. And like Alex starts to get tearful.
And this, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Is very similar to the movie that we did where.
Oh, that's true.
Where we're forgetting, But
you forget all the kids in that one, right?
Yes. Well, it's as if they were never born and then they need to get the thing to fix the
stone
redo
and the contest and the
redo the spell and
the
everything.
Things that Disney loves.
But there's a very emotional aspect here of I miss my brother and I want him back and
That's true.
All that stuff, which was very similar to the movie.
But I also think the people that wrote the movie had never seen an episode of the show.
Yes, but then Peter went in and
No, he
massaged
did,
it and turned it into
But to think
something.
that they saw that episode and pulled that from that, no.
It's not. I'm not implying that they saw it, and it's just very similar.
There were
plot-wise.
parallels for sure. So now they've realized that Justin is their son.
Right.
How are they going to fix this? We go to Jerry. Jerry's not going to be able to fix it. So who do we go to? We go to Max. Max is going to outsmart the genie because
Which I liked.
Which
I
I
liked the
liked
fact
too.
that you like the idea that Selena believed in the fact that Max he's so out there.
Yes.
I don't want to say the word dumb, but he's so out of the box.
He's abstract.
That he in doing that, she knew he would
outsmart her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Which
I loved
thought
it
was
too.
clever.
I loved it too. And I love too, because to me, I feel like just going for the dumb joke all the time was a little bit of low-hanging fruit. Yeah. So to then take it to where he's so, like you said, out there, abstract, whatever, that he could outsmart this con artist, I thought was so interesting. Because of course, Alex can't outsmart the genie because she's a con artist.
Right.
So they're going to think the same. And the genie's been doing it obviously a lot longer. If the Macarena was stolen from, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's been around for a long time.
Well,
but
genies are like 5,000
they're
years
really
old.
old.
Kind
So
of
they've
thing,
been
right?
conning a lot longer than Alex. So Max said he'd use orange soda to lure the genie back to her lamp. Because obviously, if somebody poured orange soda in his room, he'd be really mad. Teresa
Which
goes,
is-
"You poured orange soda?" And he goes, "See, see how
was
mad
really
she
funny.
is." That was really funny. I like that bit a lot. So then they pour orange soda into the thing, which was bubbles and lights and.
Did you say, yeah, and Justin,
Yes.
one of our special effects guys was Justin, and I remember him like we needed a lot of bubbles, you know, and we
lot.
needed to hold them, you know, in there. So it was like someone's job. Justin had to, you know, come up with what Mars looked like, or bubbles in a genie's lamp, or that kind of stuff. So and like we were saying another time, that when you're acting in practical stuff, like when I'm swimming in midair, pretending to swim is very different from pretending, not pretending, but really
Actually
being
swimming.
in bubbles.
And I remember that scene as well. Even being, I wasn't in the scene, but I remember being on set, and just every scene they'd have to be like more. Because as soon as you put them out there,
They would pop.
they would pop, and they would, just like a bubble bath, they start to go down when you're not using. That was what I thought of it as. It's like a bubble bath.
Yeah.
When you put the jets on, they go up. But when you turn the jets off, they immediately start to fizzle.
Yeah.
And so every time they would say between action and cut, they would start to go back down again. So they'd have to bump, and the machine made a lot of noise, so they couldn't do it during the take.
Right, exactly. And that's
So they'd have to bump them back like way high so
Yeah.
that they wouldn't be nothing
right.
by the end of the scene.
It's also very much, you know, like a lot of times, even if you're not talking about smoke being in a bar, you usually smoke it up a little
And you
bit. They have like
fan
a
it
smoke.
in.
Yeah. And most of the time you have too much smoke,
And
and
then
then
you're
you're waiting for it to dissipate. But I also love the fact that we grabbed a paperclip.
yes,
to work
do
on
the
the-
reset button.
Which is just so funny to me because, you know,
the genie says, "Okay, fine."
yeah,
There's
but
a reset
also
button.
on your
Yeah.
iPhones or whatever it is, there's like a little, you know, there
Is that on the modern ones too?
I think there is like a little opening where you can hit, maybe not, but there used to be a thing
Yeah,
where you
on
hit
most
a remote.
electronics.
I will say this: Peter Marietta we were on set, and he's like, I sent my assistant to line up to go buy the new phone. It was the first Apple phone.
Yeah,
And this is, I'm throwing myself under the bus here, but he showed me the phone, and there was like a map and a thing and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and
I
was
remember
like,
this.
Yeah, and then I was like, this is way too fucking complicated. It's never going to take off. I felt really stupid later.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
you're like, I'm not going to invest in Apple.
but-
They're going to.
But on those old phones, there was like a
reset
it
button,
used to
yeah.
come with like a little thing that you could press in
My
there.
old Razor, I think, had one where
yeah.
you could like reset it. But I think like most of them, you know, did that. So to after the reset button, everything's covered in orange foam. They show where it is. Max presses it with the big paper clip that we just talked about. We're back outside the lamp. Justin's returned to his normal self. Teresa apologizes for forgetting him. She, Jerry, and Max go off to bed. Justin is so touched that Alex was so upset when he was invisible and begins to playfully mock her. Alex tells him that she's glad he's back, but only so that she has someone to beat up on. And then she hits him with a pillow and we're out of
And
this
it's
episode.
adorable.
And it's an adorable tag and a really good episode. I liked this one.
Yeah, it was good. It really also, even though there was sibling rivalry, they came together and, this dysfunctional family at the core love each other.
Well, and I feel like those were my favorite episodes of the show, and the strongest episodes of the show were the ones where they explored the rivalry, but then the family always came together at the end. We had fun with the dysfunction, with how quirky and everybody's idiosyncrasies and eccentricities in the episode, but then we always came together with how much we loved each other at the end. And to me, that was always our most successful episodes, is just bringing it full circle there at the end. But having said that, we have another one of our amazing fans that have a question, which
Yes.
we loved seeing your video submissions, guys. So let's get into our fan question. Ooh, that's a good question, Paul. We kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yes.
Like I said, I remember it being a green screen suit where it's like the full face was covered and everything.
And I think it was a green screen suit as he was taking off his clothes. And then once the pillow came in, I don't think he was holding the pillow. I think the pillow was a special effect.
Paul, to answer your question, it was one of two things. It was either David Henrie in the green screen suit, which I remember him taking the clothes off, because just like Bucky Barnes does with the arm, he has like the green screen arm.
Yeah,
But I remember like either or a double in the green screen suit once he was completely naked, holding the bust and the pillow at the same time.
I remember it was a green screen suit, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember Shannon saying it was a little too fitted. It was too tight, and they had to adjust it because it was
distracting.
to the audience. So I remember that. I'm gonna text Shannon and ask
Tell her. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, it's like I said, we know there was a green screen suit.
Yeah.
But the question is whether it was a double, just for the naked part where we were holding the bust and the pillow.
Right.
Or if it was David the whole time. I think it was David the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been a minute, Paul, but I do believe it was David the whole time.
I think you're right.
We didn't have the kind of budget to have a double and a David.
I think that once he took off his clothes, that it became.
I don't think they did strings.
I think not so much strings as it was. Maybe they filmed it and put it in there after, because his head moves around. I'm going to have to rewatch the rewatch. I'm going to have to watch it again.
I think it's David. I think I remember David kind of holding that, because I remember them being like, we needed to hold it a little this, a little that. Like I remember David being on the green screen.
I'll go. No, your memory is better than mine.
Not always. It depends. But Paul, we're going to go with it. David was in the green screen suit the whole time.
Good question.
But that was a great question.
Thank you all for putting in your submissions for the questions.
Well, guys, this was a really great episode. Justin's little sister, and
bye, everybody.
bye, guys.
Goodbye. Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode of Wizards of Waverly Pod. And if you want to watch clips from this episode, go to the Podco YouTube channel. The link is in the description.
And if you can't get enough Wizards, heaven knows we can't, you can join our Patreon for exclusive weekly bonus content. There's a link in the description for that too.
It's magical.
Oh, see you next week.